Congratulations. You passed your commercial pilot license exam. You scored 73% on the practical exam. The passing grade was 70. You did not tell your parents this. You have been assigned your first ever commercial flight. Flight 2247. Departure. Atlanta, Hartsfield, Jackson. Destination. John F. Kennedy International, New York. Duration. 2 hours and 10 minutes. Passengers. 186. 186 people who have absolutely no idea that the person sitting in the right seat of their aircraft got his license 4 days ago. 4 days ago, you were doing touch-and-go landings in a Cessna 172 over a cornfield in Dayton, Ohio. Today you are co-piloting a Boeing 737-800 from Atlanta to New York with 186 souls on board. This is what we call a promotion. Now, let us begin. It is 5:47 a.m. at Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport. You woke up at 3 a.m. because you could not sleep. You have been awake for almost 3 hours doing what any reasonable person does the night before their first ever commercial flight. You watched 11 YouTube videos about Boeing 737 cockpit procedures. You bookmarked 4 Reddit threads titled things like, "First time in a commercial cockpit, what do I need to know?" and "Can a co-pilot actually land a 737 alone?" The answers on that last one were not encouraging. You arrive at the airport at 5:30 a.m. You are wearing your uniform for the first time in public. You look extremely official. You feel extremely fraudulent. A kid in a Braves jersey points at you and says, "Dad, look, a pilot." You smile. The smile does not reach your eyes. You reach the cockpit. You meet your captain for the first time. His name is Captain Robert Haynes. He is 54 years old. He has been flying for 28 years. He has logged over 19,000 flight hours. He looks at you the way a man looks at something he is genuinely not sure about. He asks you how many hours you have logged. You tell him. He is quiet for 4 seconds. Then he says, "And you will remember this for the rest of your life," he says. "Just do what I tell you and touch nothing you don't understand." You nod. You understand approximately 40% of what is in front of you. Pre-flight checklist begins. The captain reads. You respond. You practice this. You know this part. You feel slightly better. Then the captain reads an item you did not practice and you say, "Check anyway," and hope for the best. Pushback begins. The aircraft moves backward from the gate. 186 people are now moving because of a decision that includes you. You breathe through your nose. This is fine. Taxi to runway. The captain handles this. You watch. You press nothing. You are doing great. Runway. Line up and wait. The engines spool up. The aircraft vibrates. 186 people lean back in their seats. And you think for just 1 second what an absolutely insane thing it is that humans figured out how to do this. Then Captain Haynes pushes the thrust levers forward and there is no more time for philosophy. You are airborne. Flight 2247 is in the air. The captain is flying. You are monitoring. Everything is normal. Everything is fine. For exactly 31 minutes, everything is completely fine. At cruising altitude of 35,000 feet, somewhere over the Carolinas, Captain Haynes leans back in his seat, rolls his neck once, and says, "She's yours, first officer. I need to use the lavatory." He gets up. He walks to the back. And you are alone in the cockpit of a Boeing 737-800 at 35,000 feet over South Carolina for the first time in your life. You do not touch anything. You stare at the autopilot. The autopilot is doing everything. You are essentially a very expensive security guard watching a machine do its job. This is fine. You are fine. Atlanta Center comes on the radio. They ask you to confirm your position and altitude. You respond professionally. You use the correct terminology. You sound like a real pilot. You are very proud of yourself. This lasts approximately 8 seconds until Atlanta Center asks you to adjust heading by 5 degrees and you move the wrong knob. You correct it. Atlanta Center does not notice. Or if they notice, they are professionals and they say nothing. You make a mental note to thank whoever is working Atlanta Center today. You will send them a fruit basket in your mind. Captain Haynes returns from the lavatory. He settles back into the left seat. You have not crashed the plane. He does not know about the knob incident. You will not tell him about the knob incident. The knob incident never happened. The next 20 minutes are uneventful. You relax slightly. You look out the window at the Appalachian Mountains below and think, "I'm actually doing this. I am actually a pilot." Then you eat the crew snack. It is a small bag of pretzels, the same pretzels that have haunted airline catering since the beginning of time. You are 31 minutes into the flight. You are over the Carolinas. Atlanta is behind you. New York is ahead of you. You are one of two people responsible for getting everyone to JFK on time. You briefly wonder if there is traffic over New Jersey. There is always traffic over New Jersey. At 31 minutes into the flight, Captain Robert Haynes makes a sound. It is not a word. It is not a sentence. It is the kind of sound that a body makes when something inside it has decided to stop cooperating. You have never heard this sound before in your life, but you know immediately with the specific animal certainty that bypasses language and goes straight to the spine that something is wrong. Captain Haynes slumps forward in his seat. The autopilot is still on. The aircraft is still flying. The instruments are all normal. Outside the window, the Carolinas continue being the Carolinas, completely indifferent to what has just happened 12 feet behind a closed cockpit door. You have been a commercial pilot for 31 minutes. Your brain does several things at once. First it says, "This is not happening." Then it says, "This is definitely happening." Then it says something that is not a word but is approximately the sound that your entire nervous system makes when it realizes the situation. Then thankfully, your training kicks in. Step 1. Secure the captain. You carefully move Captain Haynes back in his seat so he is not on the controls. This is harder than it sounds because Captain Haynes is a large man from Texas and you are not. You are using muscles you did not know existed. Step 2. Take control of the aircraft. You move to the left seat, the captain's seat. It is still warm. You do not think about why it is still warm. You put your hands on the controls. The aircraft responds. You are now the pilot in command of Flight 2247 over the state of North Carolina. Step 3. Get help. You press the call button for the senior flight attendant. Her name is Diane. Diane has been a flight attendant for 22 years. She is from Cincinnati. She has seen everything. Diane walks into the cockpit, looks at the situation, and her face does something that you will describe later as controlled devastation. Diane asks you 3 questions. 1. Is the aircraft stable? 2. Do you know how to land this plane? 3. And she says this very quietly, very professionally. Are you okay? You answer yes, working on it, and absolutely not in that order. Diane goes back to the cabin. Her job now is to make sure 186 people eat their pretzels and watch their movies and do not find out what is happening 12 feet in front of them. Diane from Cincinnati is about to earn every single dollar of her paycheck. You get on the radio to Atlanta Center. You declare a medical emergency. The words come out correctly. You are impressed with yourself. Then Atlanta Center asks you to state your experience level and you tell them, and there is a silence on the frequency that lasts approximately 3 seconds, but feels like the entire history of American aviation compressed into a single, terrible moment. The ATC controller's name you will learn later is Marcus. Marcus is from Memphis. He has been an air traffic controller for 24 years. He has handled emergencies, weather diversions, equipment failures, runway incursions, and once a pilot who called in to report that a passenger had opened a bag of Doritos so loud that he could hear it from the cockpit. Marcus has never handled this specific combination of factors, but Marcus is a professional. And Marcus says the most reassuring thing you have ever heard in your life. Marcus says, "Flight 2247, I have you on radar. You are not alone up there. We are going to get you into JFK. Now tell me what you see on your instruments." And just like that, you have a co-pilot. He is on the ground in Atlanta. He is 35,000 feet below you, but he is there. Marcus walks you through the instruments. You read them. He confirms. He corrects. He explains calmly. He does not make you feel stupid, and you are asking some questions that a more experienced pilot would absolutely not ask. Like when you ask Marcus which of the 2 altimeter readings you should trust, and Marcus answers and then very gently asks if you have read an altimeter before, and you say in training, and Marcus says all right then, in a voice that contains an entire novel. Marcus's voice never changes. It stays level, calm, steady as a highway in Kansas. Marcus's voice is doing something very specific. It is performing certainty so that you can borrow it. You borrow all of it, every single unit. You apply it directly to your hands on the controls. Meanwhile, in the cabin, Diane is dealing with a passenger in 12B who wants to know why the seatbelt sign has been on for 40 minutes. She tells him there is light chop ahead. The passenger says he does not feel any chop. Diane smiles the smile of a woman from Cincinnati who has spent 22 years managing the gap between what is true and what people need to hear. She offers him a Diet Coke. He accepts. Crisis managed. A passenger in row 17 who works in insurance has noticed that neither pilot has come out to use the lavatory in quite some time and is beginning to develop a theory. He is about to lean over and share this theory with his neighbor who is also awake. Diane intercepts him before the theory becomes a conversation. She redirects him toward the complimentary cookies. He is very pleased about the complimentary cookies. Marcus tells you that New York TRACON has been notified. JFK emergency services are standing by. Runway 13R will be cleared. You will have priority handling all the way in. Everything is in place. All you have to do is land a Boeing 737-800 that you have never landed before at one of the most congested airports in the United States of America. While 186 people have no idea any of this is happening, Marcus begins walking you through the approach checklist. Descent, speed reduction, flaps, landing gear. Each item Marcus explains before you do it. You are essentially doing a very high-stakes driving lesson. Except the car is a 79-ton aircraft, and there are no brake pedals, and the road is a strip of New York concrete. You cannot yet see through the clouds. Flaps to 15. You do it. Marcus confirms. Flaps to 30. You do it. Landing gear down. 3 green lights. You stare at the 3 green lights for slightly longer than necessary because nobody warned you how beautiful 3 green lights would be in this specific moment in your life. Marcus gently reminds you that New York TRACON is waiting. You begin the descent. 35,000 feet becomes 25,000, becomes 15,000, becomes 10,000. The cloud layer appears below you, and then through the clouds, New York, the actual city, Long Island, the Atlantic coast, and there in the distance, Kennedy Airport, sitting on the edge of Jamaica Bay, like it has been waiting for you specifically. Marcus hands you off to New York TRACON. New voice, new controller. His name is Kevin. Kevin is from Queens. Kevin knows the situation. Kevin's voice is even calmer than Marcus's, and you did not think that was possible for someone from Queens. You briefly consider that ATC selects for a very specific type of human being, and you are grateful for this. Kevin gives you runway 13R at JFK. He tells you it is 10,000 feet long. You do the math and decide that 10,000 feet is extremely generous, and you like Kevin very much. 5 miles out on final, you can see runway 13R. It is the most beautiful thing you have ever seen in the state of New York, and you grew up going to Yankee Stadium. It is a long gray strip of concrete on the edge of Jamaica Bay with lights on either side, and you would genuinely write a country song about it right now if you were not extremely busy. 3 miles out, speed correct, alignment correct, descent rate correct. You are doing everything right. Kevin tells you that you are looking good, in a New York accent, which somehow makes it more reassuring. 1 mile out. The runway is right there over Jamaica Bay. The approach lights are doing their thing. Your hands are on the controls. Your feet are on the rudder pedals. 186 people behind you have just been told to put their tray tables up and return their seats to the full upright position by Diane from Cincinnati, who has never sounded more professional in her life. The threshold of runway 13R passes beneath you. The runway is under the aircraft. Jamaica Bay is behind you now. This is the moment. Everything you watched on YouTube at 3 a.m. in an Atlanta hotel room. Everything Marcus explained from Atlanta Center. Everything Kevin confirmed from Queens. Everything your training gave you, all of it is right here in your hands. You pull back on the controls. The nose comes up. The rate of descent slows. The main gear touches runway 13R at John F. Kennedy International Airport. Then the nose gear comes down. The thrust reversers engage. The brakes apply. The aircraft decelerates. And then nothing. Stillness. Runway lights passing outside the window. Speed decreasing. The aircraft is on the ground. In New York. Because of you. You landed a Boeing 737-800 at John F. Kennedy International Airport on your first commercial flight with a medical emergency in the left seat. In front of 186 people who thought it was a perfectly normal landing and are now aggressively turning their phones off airplane mode to text their families, they landed. Diane comes on the PA. She thanks everyone for flying. She says the local time in New York is 9:52 a.m. She reminds everyone to check the overhead bins for their carry-on items. She wishes everyone a wonderful stay in New York. Her voice does not shake once. Emergency vehicles are waiting on the tarmac at JFK. Captain Haynes is taken off the aircraft first. The passengers notice the medical team. Several of them ask Diane what happened. Diane tells them a crew member became ill during the flight. Technically accurate. Completely sufficient. Diane should have been a lawyer. You sit in the captain's seat for a few minutes after everyone has deplaned. The aircraft is empty. The engines are off. The instruments are dark. Outside the window is a gray New York morning and a JFK baggage cart, and a man in an orange vest eating a bodega sandwich and living his completely normal life. You have never loved a man eating a sandwich more in your entire existence. Captain Haynes survived. Massive cardiac event serious, caught fast, treated within 15 minutes of landing at JFK. He spent 9 days at NYU Langone Medical Center in Manhattan. He later said the hospital food was the worst part. He is from Texas. He meant it. You were investigated by the FAA. This is standard. The investigation found that you performed correctly under the circumstances. They used the word correctly. Not brilliantly, not heroically, correctly. You printed the finding and put it on your refrigerator in your apartment in Atlanta with a world's best pilot magnet you bought yourself. Marcus from Atlanta Center sent you a card, a physical card, mailed it to the airline and they forwarded it. It said, "Good work up there, kid. Come see us sometime." You did go to Atlanta Center. You brought a fruit basket. Marcus was genuinely touched. His colleagues ate most of the fruit before he got back from his break. This actually happened. Diane from Cincinnati received a commendation from the airline. She accepted it at a ceremony in Dallas. She shook hands, smiled, said thank you. Then she drove home to Cincinnati, sat on her couch, ordered Skyline chili, and did not think about airplanes for 5 consecutive days. The Skyline chili was perfect. This is also true. You are still flying. You have been flying for 6 years now. You are not a co-pilot anymore. You passed your captain's exam 18 months ago out of a flight school in Phoenix, Arizona. You log flight hours the same way Captain Haynes did. 1 flight at a time, 1 landing at a time. Sometimes at cruise altitude when it is quiet and the autopilot is on and the Midwest is below you in the dark, you think about that morning over the Carolinas. Not with fear, with something that is harder to name, something close to respect, for what the situation asked of you, for what Marcus's voice gave you from Atlanta, for what Kevin handled from Queens, for what Diane from Cincinnati managed behind a closed cabin door. 186 people landed at JFK that Tuesday morning in September. They collected their bags at baggage claim. They found their Ubers and their taxis and their relatives holding signs at arrivals. They went to their offices and their hotels and their apartments in the city. One man complained about the pretzels on TripAdvisor. He gave the flight 3 stars. None of them knew. Every single commercial flight you board in America, every Delta, every United, every Southwest, every American, every regional carrier that takes you from Cincinnati to Charlotte on a Tuesday afternoon, somewhere on that aircraft. There is a person who is prepared for the worst and is quietly, professionally, invisibly hoping it never happens. The pilots, the crew, the controllers at Atlanta Center in New York, Tracon and Chicago Center and every facility in between, the engineers, the dispatchers, the whole invisible American aviation infrastructure holding the sky together over this country every single day. The next time you are on a flight and a flight attendant tells you to put your tray table up and you roll your eyes because you have flown this route 17 times and you know, just remember, they know things you do not know, and they are handling those things so that you can watch your movie and eat your tiny pretzels in peace, all the way from Atlanta to New York and every city in between. You were 23 years old. You scored 73%. You had been a commercial pilot for 31 minutes when it happened, and you brought everyone home. I'll see you inside the walls.